I was on time. Then what happened? Oh, we're doing the stories today. So it was I accidentally clicked on David is made king, and I wrote down no, yeah, I thought I was at Abigail and David. That one's first. So I wrote down David's made is made king verses. I'm like, oh my god! And when I realized, I'm like, well, I was on time. So I was on time. You blink it on. Here we go. Yeah. Oh, I was on time. Yeah, I should just get up at 6. Set it for 6, and when it goes off, just sit up. And I don't set the alarm clock no more. Cause someone gets me up at 6:30, so I'm like, I should just get up and just do devotions and then worry about this other stuff later. No, coffee's first. Sorry, sorry, Joe. Get coffee in me. I'm awake, somewhat. No, Jehovah's first. If I had to choose, I'll do devotions first. If I had to make a split decision, I can always get coffee after. Tomorrow we'll do the other thing, the other stories. Where we do 2 chapters at a time. Now, if I'm smart, I can set that up for tomorrow. And all I have to do is just get up in the morning, come here and sit and just go live. I remember one time I went live at quarter 6. So I mean quarter 7. So what I did was I'm too early. Oh no. So I just uh we listened to a few chapters of the Bible, and I think so. You came on too early. It's just that's why I'm waiting. We're just listening to the Bible right now. That's a good idea. Yeah, I know. I like this. So I know we did both of them yesterday, but we'll do this one today. Our Father in heaven, may your name be kept holy. May your kingdom come soon. May your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today the food we need, and forgive us our sins, as we have forgiven those who sin against us. And don't let us yield to temptation, but rescue us from the evil one. Jehovah, thank you for another beautiful day on your beautiful earth. And thank you for allowing us to wake up today. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much for helping me and others in the past, present, and what you will do for us in the future. And please help the following who needs help in their life struggles with cancer and heart issue. Tate has our heart issues and cancer. Cindy Lee, Lisa, Shannon Doherty, King Charles, Princess Kate, Jen's friend Shannon, and Isabella Strahan all have cancer. Please put your healing hands on them and cure them and give them physical and mental strength so they can fight it. Celine Dion has stiff person syndrome, and to what she said, she had it for 17 years. But she was just recently diagnosed. Please help her and give her physical and mental strength to fight her disease off. And continue to help Jenny, Christina, Tiffany, Robin Taylor in their health issues, and continue to help Robin Taylor's son, no, two grandsons who just lost their mommy. Miss Diane Miss Diane, please help her enter eternal rest quicker than not, no suffering. She's been suffering a long time. And her daughters find a good place to live the rest of their life, or until they get married and stuff. Arnie, Vicky and family, Carol and mom, please help them. In Jesus' name, amen. This is first. Okay. Oh boy. Abigail and David. Story number 6.
Story number 60.
Oh yes, 60.
Abigail and David. Do you know the pretty woman who is coming to meet David? Her name is Abigail. She has good sense, and she keeps David from doing a bad thing. But before learning about that, let's see what has been happening to David. After David runs away from Saul, he hides in a cave. His brothers and the rest of his family join him there. About 400 men in all come to him, and David becomes their leader. David then goes to the king of Moab and says, "Please let my father and mother stay with you until I see what happens to me." Later, David and his men begin hiding in the hills. It is after this that David meets Abigail. Her husband Nabal is a rich landowner. He has 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats. Nabal is a mean man, but his wife Abigail is very beautiful. Also, she knows how to do what is right. Once she even saves her family. Let's see how. David and his men have been kind to Nabal. They have helped to protect his sheep. So one day, David sends some of his men to ask Nabal for a favor. David's men come to Nabal while he and his helpers are cutting the wool off the sheep. It is a feast day, and Nabal has many good things to eat.
Oh, I didn't mean to highlight it.
This is what David's men say. "We have been kind to you. We have not stolen any of your sheep, but have helped to look after them. Now, please, give us some food." "I won't give my food to men like you," Nabal says. He speaks in a very mean way and says bad things about David. When the men return and tell David about it, David is very angry. "Put on your swords," he tells his men, and they start on their way to kill Nabal and his men. One of Nabal's men, who heard the mean words that Nabal spoke, tells Abigail what happened. Right away, Abigail gets some food ready. She loads it on some donkeys and starts on her way. When she meets David, she gets off her donkey, bows down, and says, "Please, sir, pay no attention to my husband Nabal. He is a fool, and he does foolish things. Here is a gift. Please, take it, and forgive us for what happened." "You are a wise woman," David answers. "You have kept me from killing Nabal to pay him back for his meanness. Go home now in peace." Later, when Nabal dies, Abigail becomes one of David's wives.
And let's read 1 Samuel chapter 22, verse 1 through 4. So David went from there, escaping to the cave of Adullam. When his brothers and his father's entire house heard of it, they went down there to him. And all those who were in trouble and in debt and who had a grievance gathered to him. And he became their chief. There were about 400 men with him. David later went from there to Mizpah in Moab and said to the king of Moab, "Please let my father and my mother stay with you until I know that what God will do for me." So he left them with the king of Moab, and they stayed with him the whole time that David was in the stronghold. Oh, my eyes were like going like, whoa. So the next one is 1 Samuel chapter 25, verses 1 through 43. So we're gonna let them read it.
Chapter 25. In time Samuel died, and all Israel gathered together to mourn for him, and to bury him at his house in Ramah. Then David rose and went down to the wilderness of Paran. Now there was a man in Maon whose work was in Carmel. The man was very wealthy. He had 3,000 sheep and 1,000 goats,
3,000.
and he was then shearing his sheep at Carmel. The man's name was Nabal, and his wife's name was Abigail. The wife was discerning and beautiful, but the husband, a Calebite, was harsh, and he behaved badly. David heard in the wilderness that Nabal was shearing his sheep. So David sent 10 young men to him, and David told the young men,
"Go up to Carmel, and when you come to Nabal, ask him in my name about his welfare. Then say, 'May you live long, and may you be well, and may your household be well, and may all that you have be well. Now I hear that you are doing your shearing. When your shepherds were with us, we did not harm them, and they found nothing missing the whole time they were in Carmel. Ask your young men, and they will tell you. May my young men find favor in your eyes, because we have come at a joyous time. Please give to your servants and to your son David whatever you can spare.'"
So David's young men went and told all of this to Nabal in David's name. When they finished, Nabal answered David's servants,
"Who is David, and who is the son of Jesse? Nowadays, many servants are breaking away from their masters. Do I have to take my bread and my water and the meat that I butchered for my shearers and give it to men who come from who knows where?"
Oh, Lord.
At that, David's young men returned and reported all these words to him. David immediately said to his men,
"Everyone, strap on your sword."
So they all strapped on their swords, and David also strapped on his own sword. And about 400 men went up with David, while 200 men stayed with the baggage. Meanwhile, one of the servants reported to Abigail, Nabal's wife,
"Look, David sent messengers from the wilderness to wish our master well, but he screamed insults at them. Those men were very good to us. They never harmed us, and we did not miss a single thing the whole time we were together with them in the fields. They were like a protective wall around us, both by night and by day, the whole time we were with them shepherding the flock. Now decide what you are going to do, for disaster has been determined against our master and against all his house, and he is such a worthless man that no one can speak to him."
So Abigail quickly took 200 loaves of bread, 2 large jars of wine, 5 dressed sheep, 5 seah measures of roasted grain, 100 cakes of raisins, and 200 cakes of pressed figs, and put all of it on the donkeys. Then she said to her servants,
Go on ahead of me. I will follow you.
She said nothing to her husband Nabal. While she was riding on the donkey and going down under cover of the mountain, just then David and his men were coming down toward her, and she met them. Now David had been saying,
It was for nothing that I guarded everything that belongs to this fellow in the wilderness. Not a single thing belonging to him went missing, and yet he repays me evil for good. May God do the same and more to the enemies of David if I allow a single male of his to survive until the morning.
When Abigail caught sight of David, she hurried down off the donkey and threw herself face down before David, bowing to the ground. She then fell at his feet and said,
My lord, let the blame be on me. Let your servant girl speak to you, and listen to the words of your servant girl. Please, do not let my lord pay attention to this worthless Nabal, for he is just like his name. Nabal is his name, and senselessness is with him. But I, your servant girl, did not see my lord's young men whom you sent. And now, my lord, as surely as Jehovah is living, and as you are living, it is Jehovah who has held you back from incurring blood guilt and from taking revenge with your own hand. May your enemies and those seeking injury to my lord become like Nabal. Now let this gift that your servant girl has brought to my lord be given to the young men who are following my lord. Pardon, please, the transgression of your servant girl, for Jehovah will without fail make for my lord a lasting house, because my lord is fighting the wars of Jehovah, and no evil has been found in you all your days. When someone rises up to pursue you and seeks your life, the life of my lord will be wrapped securely in the bag of life with Jehovah your God. But the lives of your enemies he will hurl away like stones from a sling. And when Jehovah has done for my lord all the good things he has promised, and he appoints you as leader over Israel, you will have no remorse or regret in your heart for shedding blood without cause, and for letting the hand of my lord take revenge. When Jehovah confers good upon my lord, remember your servant girl.
At this David said to Abigail,
Praise Jehovah, the God of Israel, who sent you this day to meet me. And blessed be your good sense. May you be blessed for restraining me this day from incurring blood guilt and from taking revenge with my own hands. Otherwise, as surely as Jehovah, the God of Israel, who held me back from harming you, is living, if you had not come quickly to meet me, by morning there would not have remained a single male belonging to Nabal.
With that David accepted from her what she had brought him, and said to her,
Go up in peace to your house. See, I have listened to you, and I will grant your request.
Abigail later went back to Nabal, who was feasting like a king in his house, and Nabal was in a good mood, and was as drunk as could be. She did not tell him a single thing until the morning light. In the morning, when Nabal was sober, his wife told him these things. And his heart became like a dead man's, and he lay paralyzed like a stone. About 10 days later, Jehovah struck Nabal, and he died. When David heard that Nabal had died, he said,
Praise Jehovah, who has pleaded my case of reproach from Nabal, and has kept his servant from doing anything bad. And Jehovah has brought the badness of Nabal back on his own head.
Then David sent word to propose to Abigail, to take her as his wife. So David's servants came to Abigail at Carmel and said to her,
David has sent us to you to take you as his wife.
She immediately rose up and bowed with her face to the ground and said,
Oh.
Here is your slave,
Hold on,
as a
baby.
servant to wash the feet of the servants of my lord.
Then Abigail quickly rose up and rode on her donkey with 5 of her female servants walking behind her. She accompanied the messengers of David and became his wife. David had also married Ahinoam from
to
Jezreel,
43.
and both women became his wives.
I'll
But
just let-
Saul had given his daughter Michal, David's wife, to Paltai, the son of Laish, who was from Gallim.
Okay. I gotta take her out to the potty. I'll be right back. To the potty? What is it? Come on. My knee hurts. Good girl. Yes. So we did that. Now David is made king. Is next.
Story number 61. David is made king. Saul again tries to capture David. He takes 3,000 of his best soldiers and goes looking for him. When David learns about this, he sends spies out to learn where Saul and his men have camped for the night. Then David asks 2 of his men, "Which of you will go to Saul's camp with me?" "I will," Abishai answers. Abishai is the son of David's sister Zeruiah. While Saul and his men are sleeping, David and Abishai creep silently into the camp. They pick up Saul's spear and his water jug, which is lying right beside Saul's head. No one sees or hears them because they are all fast asleep. See David and Abishai now. They have gotten away and are safely on top of a hill. David shouts down to Israel's army chief, "Abner, why aren't you protecting your master the king? Look, where are his spear and his water jug?" Saul wakes up. He recognizes David's voice and asks, "Is that you, David?" "Can you see Saul and Abner down there?" "Yes, my lord the king," David replies to Saul. And David asks, "Why are you trying to capture me? What bad thing have I done? Here's your spear, O king. Let one of your men come and get it." "I have done wrong," Saul admits. "I have acted foolishly." At that, David goes his way and Saul returns home. But David says to himself, "One of these days, Saul will kill me. I should escape to the land of the Philistines." And that is what he does. David is able to fool the Philistines and make them believe that he is now on their side. Sometime later, the Philistines go up to fight against Israel. In the battle, both Saul and Jonathan are killed. This makes David very sad, and he writes a beautiful song in which he sings, "I feel sad for you, my brother Jonathan. How dear you were to me." After this, David returns to Israel, to the city of Hebron. There is a war between the men who choose Saul's son Ishbosheth to be king and the other men who want David to be king. But finally, David's men win. David is 30 years old when he is made king. For 7.5 years he rules in Hebron. Some of the sons born to him there are named Amnon, Absalom, and Adonijah. The time comes when David and his men go up to capture a beautiful city called Jerusalem. Joab, another son of David's sister Zeruiah, takes the lead in the fight. So, David rewards Joab by making him chief of his army. Now, David begins ruling in the city of Jerusalem. Story number 62. Trouble in David's house.
Sorry. I'm so into the story, man. I could listen to these all day long. So, but we can't. 1 Samuel, chapter 26, 1 through 25. And what did they do? Oh, wait, yeah. The heck? Over here. I was pressing the wrong one.
Chapter 26. In time, the men of Ziph came to Saul at Gibeah, saying,
Is David not hiding on the hill of Hachilah, facing Jeshimon?
So Saul rose up and went down to the wilderness of Ziph with 3,000 chosen men of Israel to look for David in the wilderness of Ziph. Saul camped on the hill of Hachilah, which faces Jeshimon by the road. David was then living in the wilderness, and he learned that Saul had come into the wilderness after him. So David sent spies to verify that Saul had indeed come. David later went to the place where Saul had encamped, and David saw the place where Saul and Abner the son of Ner, the chief of his army, were lying asleep. Saul lay asleep in the camp enclosure, with the troops camping all around him. Then David said to Ahimelech the Hittite and Abishai the son of Zeruiah, the brother of Joab,
Who will go down with me into the camp to Saul?
Abishai replied,
I will go down with you.
So David and Abishai made their way to the troops by night, and they found Saul lying asleep in the camp enclosure, with his spear stuck into the ground next to his head. Abner and the troops were lying all around him. Abishai now said to David,
Today God has surrendered your enemy into your hand. And now, please, let me pin him to the ground with the spear just once, and I will not need to do it twice.
However, David said to Abishai,
Do not harm him, for who can lift his hand against the anointed of Jehovah and remain innocent?
David continued,
As surely as Jehovah is living, Jehovah himself will strike him down, or his day will come and he will die, or he will go down into battle and perish. It is unthinkable from Jehovah's standpoint for me to lift my hand against the anointed of Jehovah. So now take please the spear next to his head and the water jug, and let us be on our way.
Good Lord, I'm so sorry.
So David took the spear and the water jug from next to Saul's head, and they went away. No one saw or noticed them or woke up, for they were all asleep, because a deep sleep from Jehovah had fallen upon them. Then David crossed to the other side and stood on the top of the mountain some distance away, with a considerable space between them. David called out to the troops and to Abner the son of Ner, saying,
Abner, will you not answer?
Abner answered,
Who are you who calls to the king?
David said to Abner,
Are you not a man? And who is like you in Israel? So why did you not keep watch over your lord the king? For one of the soldiers came in to do away with your lord the king. What you have done is not good. As surely as Jehovah is living, you deserve to die, because you have not kept watch over your lord, the anointed of Jehovah. Now look around. Where are the king's spear and the water jug that were next to his head?
Then Saul recognized the voice of David and said,
Is this your voice, my son David?
David replied,
It is my voice, my lord the king.
He added,
Why is my lord chasing after his servant? For what have I done? And what am I guilty of? My lord the king, please, listen to the words of his servant. If it is Jehovah who incited you against me, let him accept my grain offering. But if men have incited you, they are cursed before Jehovah, because they have driven me away today from being united with Jehovah's inheritance, saying, Go, serve other gods. And now do not let my blood fall to the ground away from the presence of Jehovah. For the king of Israel has gone out to look for a single flea, as if he were chasing a partridge on the mountains.
In turn, Saul said,
I have sinned. Come back, my son David, for I will do you no more harm, because you regarded my life as precious this day. Yes, I have acted foolishly and have made a terrible mistake.
David answered,
Here is the spear of the king. Let one of the young men come over and take it. It is Jehovah who will repay each one for his own righteousness and his own faithfulness. For today Jehovah gave you into my hand, but I was unwilling to lift my hand against the anointed of Jehovah. Look, just as your life was precious to me this day, so may my life be precious in the eyes of Jehovah, and may he rescue me out of all distress.
Saul replied to David,
May you be blessed, my son David. You will surely do great things, and you will surely prevail.
Then David went on his way, and Saul returned to his place.
Next one is the next chapter over, so it's 1 through 7. However, David said in his heart, One day I will perish by Saul's hand. Saul's hand. The best thing for me is to escape to the land of the Philistines. Then Saul will give up looking for me in the territory of Israel, and I will escape from his hands. So David rose up with the 600 men who were with him and went over to Achish, the son of Maruch, the king of Gath. David stayed with Achish in Gath, he and his men, each man with his household. With David were his 2 wives, Ahinoam of Jezreel, and Abigail, the Carmelite, Nabal's widow. Sorry, I should let them read it. When report was made to Saul that David had run away to Gath, he stopped searching for him. Then David said to Achish, If I have found favor in your eyes, then let them give me a place in one of the cities of the countryside, so that I may live there. Why should your servant live in the royal city without you? True. So Achish gave him Ziklag on the day. That is why Ziklag belongs to the kings of Judah down to this day. Which one? Oh, you're playing with your thing stuff you don't. That's to the first Samuel. Yep. Next, no, there's still one more. Just we didn't do 31. I don't know why I said that's enough. 1 through 6. I'm gonna just let them read it all. You just.
Now the Philistines were fighting against Israel, and the men of Israel fled from before the Philistines, and many fell slain on Mount Gilboa. The Philistines kept in close range of Saul and his sons, and the Philistines struck down Jonathan, Abinadab, and Malchishua, Saul's sons. The fighting grew fierce against Saul, and the archers found him, and he was severely wounded by the archers. Then Saul said to his armor-bearer,
Draw your sword and run me through with it, so that these uncircumcised men may not come and run me through and deal ruthlessly with me.
But his armor-bearer was unwilling, because he was very much afraid. So Saul took the sword and fell on it. When his armor-bearer saw that Saul was dead, he too fell on his own sword and died with him. Thus Saul, his 3 sons, his armor-bearer, and all his men died together on that day. When the people of Israel who were in the region of the valley and in the region of the Jordan saw that the men of Israel had fled, and that Saul and his sons had died, they began to abandon the cities and flee. The Philistines then came and occupied them. The next, when the Philistines came to strip the slain, they found Saul and his 3 sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. So they cut off his head and stripped off his armor, and sent word throughout the land of the Philistines to spread the news in the houses of their idols and among the people. Then they put his armor in the house of the Ashtoreth images, and fastened his corpse to the wall of Bethshan. When the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead heard what the Philistines had done to Saul, all the warriors rose and traveled all night, and took the bodies of Saul and his sons off the wall of Bethshan. They returned to Jabesh and burned them there. Then they took their bones and buried them under the tamarisk tree in Jabesh. And they fasted for 7 days.
We read the whole thing. That's okay. That's all right. Supposed to only read up to number 6. Yeah. Oh, I went back too far. 2 Samuel chapter 1, verse 26. I am distressed over you, my brother Jonathan. You were very dear to me. More wonderful was your love to me than the love to woman. Than the love of woman. Yeah. Chapter 3, verses 1 through 21.
The war between the house of Saul and the house of David dragged on, and David kept getting stronger, and the house of Saul grew steadily weaker. Meanwhile, sons were born to David in Hebron. His firstborn was Amnon, by Ahinoam of Jezreel. His second was Chileab, by Abigail, the widow of Nabal the Carmelite. And the third was Absalom, the son of Maacah, the daughter of Talmai, the king of Geshur. The fourth was Adonijah, the son of Haggith. And the fifth was Shephatiah, the son of Abital. The sixth was Ithream, by David's wife Eglah. These were born to David in Hebron. While the war between the house of Saul and the house of David continued, Abner kept strengthening his position in the house of Saul. Now Saul had had a concubine whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah. Ishbosheth later said to Abner,
"Why did you have relations with the concubine of my father?"
Abner grew very angry over the words of Ishbosheth and said,
Am I a dog's head from Judah? Until this very day, I have shown loyal love toward the house of Saul and to his brothers and his friends, and I have not betrayed you into the hand of David. Yet today, you call me to account for an error concerning a woman. May God do so to Abner and add to it. Do for David just as Jehovah swore to him, to transfer the kingdom from the house of Saul and to establish the throne of David over Israel and over Judah, from Dan to Beersheba."
He was not able to say one more word in reply to Abner, for he was afraid of him. Abner immediately sent messengers to David, saying,
"To whom does the land belong? And I will do whatever I can to turn all Israel to your side."
To this he replied,
Good. I will make a covenant with you. The only thing I ask of you is that you do not try to see my face unless first you bring Michal, Saul's daughter, when you come to see me.
Then David sent messengers to Ishbosheth, Saul's son, saying,
Give me my wife Michal, to whom I became engaged for 100 foreskins of the Philistines.
So Ishbosheth sent to take her from her husband, Paltiel, the son of Laish. But her husband kept walking with her, weeping as he followed her as far as Bahurim. Then Abner said to him,
"Go, return."
At that he returned. Meanwhile, Abner sent word to the elders of Israel, saying,
For some time you wanted to have David as king over you. Now act, for Jehovah said to David, "By the hand of my servant David I will save my people Israel from the hand of the Philistines and from the hand of all their enemies."
Then Abner spoke to the people of Benjamin. Abner also went to speak privately to David at Hebron, to tell him what Israel and the whole house of Benjamin had agreed upon. When Abner came to David at Hebron with 20 men, David held a feast for Abner and for the men with him. Then Abner said to David,
"Let me go and gather all Israel together to my lord the king, so that they may make a covenant with you, and you will become king over all that you desire."
So David sent Abner off, and he went his way in peace. Just then, David's servants and Joab returned from a raid, bringing a great quantity of spoil back with them. Abner was no longer with David in Hebron, for he had sent him on his way in peace. When Joab and all the army that was with him arrived, Joab was told,
Abner, the son of Ner, came to the king, and he sent him off, and he went his way in peace.
So Joab went into the king and said,
"What have you done? Here Abner came to you. Why did you send him off so that he successfully got away? You know Abner the son of Ner. He came here to fool you and to get to know your every move. And to find out everything that you were doing.
So Joab left David and sent messengers after Abner, and they brought him back from the cistern of Sirah. But David did not know anything about it.
Nope, that's it. That's all it says for us to read. Next is chapter 5, 1 through 10.
In time, all the tribes of Israel came to David at Hebron and said,
Look, we are your own bone and flesh. In times past, while Saul was our king, you were the one who was leading Israel on its campaigns. And Jehovah said to you, you will shepherd my people Israel, and you will become leader over Israel.
So all the elders of Israel came to the king at Hebron, and King David made a covenant with them in Hebron before Jehovah. Then they anointed David as king over Israel. David was 30 years old when he became king, and he reigned for 40 years. In Hebron, he reigned over Judah for 7 years and 6 months.
Oh.
And in Jerusalem, he reigned for 33 years over all Israel and Judah. And the king and his men set out for Jerusalem against the Jebusites who were inhabiting the land. They taunted David,
You will never come in here. Even the blind and the lame will drive you away.
They thought, David will never get in here. However, David captured the stronghold of Zion, which is now the city of David. So David said on that day,
Those who attack the Jebusites should go through the water tunnel to strike down both the lame and the blind who are hateful to David.
That is why it is said, the blind and the lame will never enter the house. Then David took up residence in the stronghold, and it was called the city of David. And David began to build all around from the mound inward. Thus David became greater and greater, and Jehovah the God of armies was with him. King Hiram of Tyre.
Oh, we're just about done. No. Just take it down. Yeah. What about 321? Do we do 321? I think we did. Well, let's check it out, because I think we did. Yeah, we did. So now we go to 1 Chronicles, chapter 11, verses 1 through 9. Excuse me.
In time, all the Israelites gathered to David at Hebron and said,
Look, we are your own bone and flesh. In times past, while Saul was king, you were the one who was leading Israel on its campaigns. And Jehovah your God said to you, you will shepherd my people Israel, and you will become leader over my people Israel.
So all the elders of Israel came to the king at Hebron, and David made a covenant with them in Hebron before Jehovah. Then they anointed David as king over Israel, according to Jehovah's word through Samuel. Later, David and all Israel set out for Jerusalem, that is, Jebus, where the Jebusites were inhabiting the land. The inhabitants of Jebus taunted David,
You will never come in here.
However, David captured the stronghold of Zion, which is now the city of David. So David said,
Whoever is the first to strike the Jebusites will become chief and prince.
and Joab, the son of Zeruiah, went up first, and he became the chief. Then David, that is why they called it the city of David, began to build up the city all around, from the mound to the areas around it, and Joab restored the rest of the city. Thus David became greater and greater, and Jehovah of armies was with him. Now these are the head.
And that is it for today. And I will see you after my Bible study. So that could be close to 12 noon. Or it could be at 11. Who knows? These girls finish different times. I remember one time she stopped at 10:30. She says, "No, I'm busy today, so we only have a little bit of time." I went, Jehovah deserves all our time. But when you're studying with more than one person in a day, you have to give a certain amount of time to each person. So I love you guys. I'll see you later on.